Hey, welcome to another edition of the Nailsin Ratings, and I'm a bit under the weather, so if I screw up this one, I apologize in advance. But anyway, this will be my first review, I believe, on the series Westworld. You would have thought I'd have done that by now. Of course, the first season of Westworld on HBO was a phenomenal success with, at its height, of course, the atmosphere that it's able to create of mysteries within mysteries and so on and so forth, and what it is to be human, which is typical of all these stories about androids. Now, of course, it's based on the 70s movie, based on the book written by Michael Crichton, and the movie was pretty cut and dried and clear about what happens. The androids revolt and begin to slaughter everybody. The same thing here with the end of the first season, but of course it's far more layered and in depth as to why, and it's not exactly clear as to why. Basically, they want revenge because they've been abused all this time by their fleshly masters, the guests of the Westworld park. But all of this appears to have been a program set up by their founder, I'm blanking on the guy's name, but it's Anthony Hopkins' character, who, and with flashbacks, it appears that his partner, Arnold, who has now been replaced by an android doppelganger called Bernard, but apparently he came to see Arnold's view that these were sentient beings and deserved their own fate and what have you, as just as much as humans do. And of course, it took a while for Hopkins' character to come to that view as well. Or did he? You never really know the way this thing happens. The first season, of course, was clever in the use of time. It took a while before you even realized you were looking at two different eras of time. Of course, when they flashed back to young Anthony Hopkins and all that, you knew that was a flashback. But I mean, the bulk of the series and the revelation of who the mysterious man in black was, who he was not Yul Renner from the movie. He was the young guy, William, who actually falls in love with Dolores and then realizes, no, it's all a game. And when his broken heart turns him in the cold-hearted bastard he is today, desperately seeking some mysterious truth, which is a bit odd. How would he find a mysterious truth within a world of androids? Well, it's quite possible that that's exactly what Anthony Hopkins was doing as well. And if you're the god of this world, you're trying to figure out what the map of the mind of God is by recreating your own world of people and all of that. That could be one of the endeavors here. And it's also possible that the Anthony Hopkins character is not really dead. I mean, when they found his corpse in this episode, the premiere episode of Journey into Night, sorry, I should have mentioned that, the premiere episode of the second season, the recovery team arrives and they do find his corpse. And at first I thought, they were going to discover it was an android body. I suppose it still could be. I don't know. But apparently, for now, I guess we just have to accept that, yeah, he went ahead and ended his life, realizing this great android revolution was coming, led by Dolores, and so on and so forth. The clever usage of time that happened, that was the big kind of fake out here for the first season. And he said, oh my goodness, there's two different timelines. How would they do that here after the massacre? Well, apparently they're going to, which, not that it's a mystery or anything, it's just that you've got the time immediately after the massacre. And then you have the time when the recovery team arrives. And apparently there's about 11 days between the two. I believe that's how they mentioned it. And so that would be where they jump back and forth. Now, the episode ends with Bernard saying, I killed them all. Now, the new boss coming in to try to figure out what happened and probably kind of see if he can sweep this under the rug so they can reopen the park later. And just, we had a little glitch again. So Bernard says, I killed them all. My guess is he's referring to all the dead hosts in this mysterious lake that they didn't even know they had. And that while he's in that control room with, I'm forgetting her name too, with the sort of corporate spy that was there trying to find this mysterious host that they wanted to use, he's able to put out the order for them all to commit suicide. Of course, you don't see Dolores out there, but of course we know that Dolores is one of the originals from when the park began, and so she's different and special from the others. So that's possible what he means, because otherwise, well, got to charge you, unless, of course, like they want to cover it all up and they'll just kind of fire him and keep him under wraps until they discover, oh, he's an android. So he did that and he kills them all and all that. But where does Dolores go, and what is it she wanted Teddy to see? And so maybe it's the door or a passage to one of the other parks. And that was the interesting thing, because it's just Westworld as far as we knew. But then as the breakdown happened, we did see elements of the Shogun world, I believe it's called, where they had the samurai. And then, of course, they've got the dead tiger there, and they realize, well, he's not supposed to be here and all that. So we're going to get some other parks, and so they may have escaped into some of the others, and it might be a chase there. But all in all, the mood and the cool atmospherics of the series is maintained, but the hard thing season 2 has is, can it match, and possibly even better than the first one? And it almost seems unlikely, because the first one was so good, and the way it ended, you could have just said, that's it. But of course, you want to go on because it's so successful. And HBO is running out of Game of Thrones, so they need a new one. And Westworld looks like it's stepping up to be the new hot series, so you can't afford to miss. So all in all, a very good episode. But as far as what can it achieve later on, not so sure. A lot of these themes have already been covered. Every time there's some movie about androids and whatnot, they're very similar. And, what is it to be human? But also fate and destiny, whether or not you're in control of it. And all of this, is it really an android revolution, or is it all a part of the game and trying to figure out the maze of life and mapping the mind of God? And it has nothing to do with the androids whatsoever. And maybe they'll be upset about it, but then you can just erase it and rewrite them. So it wouldn't matter. So that's why I kind of suspect in some way or form or fashion, is the Anthony Hopkins character really gone? Well, we'll see. So there you go. That's 5 out of 5 stars for this one. We'll see how it goes further. However, I must caution you, this is a bad robot production. And J.J. Abrams is, as he said many times, is very fond of the mystery box. And the whole idea is just the mystery, because the mystery is far more sexy than its solution, which is always difficult to actually get there. Of course, you really have to be good at the mystery just remaining a mystery in order for people to say, yeah, that was pretty good. Now I enjoyed Lost, but of course, like everyone else, I have to agree, the ending was not very satisfying. So when you continue to do that, it's very difficult to achieve this. There's no payoff, and yet you have to give the audience some kind of payoff, even though you don't have one. And so this business of where the series ends and you're just going to get, well, it's up to audience interpretation. You're going to feel like you got suckered in. But I hate to break it to you, that is very likely with this series. There's a lot of details here that reminds me of Lost. Obviously, the play with time and what have you. So that might be a bad sign that there won't be much of a payoff when this series wraps up. But, maybe not. There are a few technical details here and there. Not as much, because in the first season, there was that business of them getting nitroglycerin to do a train robbery and whatnot. They actually had the nitro. The idea that could have gone very wrong with your park. The guns are fixed to where it only works on hosts, not guests. How are you going to control an explosion? So and here we have the recovery team shows up. they're heavily armed and everything, and they've got dune buggies. But you might want to bring in some air support when you're chasing a bunch of heavily, well, not heavily, but armed hosts running around, massacring everybody. You could see several times they did get the better of the soldiers coming in to clean up. So, yeah, you needed a little more than dune buggies. But maybe they had that in reserve. I don't know. And the idea that the what was he, the CEO, that guy there, coming in and just walking with his mercenaries. I don't know. I don't know that I really buy that. But again, these are minor details. So there you go. Westworld Journey into Night. The first episode of the new season. Again, 5 out of 5 stars. And we'll see where they go. You know, we'll continue the journey with them. Yes, we will. All right, thanks for watching and listening. Do check out the link description below for links to my mini stores, which has lovely gifts just for you. And why don't you like and subscribe, and we'll do this again. Yes, we will. Again, thanks for watching and listening.